This man awakened the dumbest, most useless class, the pig butcher. His classmates burst into laughter, mocking him as a complete fool. Even the teacher shook his head in disappointment, giving up on him. Even the childhood sweetheart who had grown up by his side turned her back and left him without hesitation. Yet he didn't care at all. Since he was a child, he had suffered from a strange illness. In his eyes, every living being's face appeared like that of a pig. No matter how beautiful the girl might be, she was no exception in his sight. To make matters worse, Yi Chuan had awakened the worthless class, the pig butcher. At first, he thought it was the end, but in the midst of everyone's ridicule, he suddenly noticed a dialogue box appear before his eyes, something no one else could see. It revealed his true skill, Blood Shadow Butcher. For every pig he slaughtered, his innate talent would increase by 1%. A glint of greed instantly flashed in Yi Chuan's eyes, because to him, the entire world was filled with pigs. Inside Qingsheng First People's Hospital, Yi Chuan sat across from a female doctor wearing rimless glasses. The summer heat had soaked through her white coat, the curves beneath faintly visible. After reading Yi Chuan's medical record, the doctor frowned, suspicion flashing in her eyes. "You're saying, no matter what living being you see, it looks like a pig to you? Even me?" "Yes." Yi Chuan nodded. "Such a handsome boy, what a pity." The female doctor unbuttoned her white coat and pulled it open, leaning closer to Yi Chuan's face. "So now what do you see?" "Two pigs." Her heart skipped a beat at his reply, and she hurried to give Yi Chuan a physical examination. Then she wrote in the medical record, "Physical functions normal, but no sexual desire toward mature women." Well, of course, if every woman looked like a pig to him, having desire would be the real problem. "I think I know why everything looks like a pig in your eyes." The doctor sighed, glancing at the scan in her hand. "Your spine has a serious issue." She picked up a spine model from the side and pointed at it. "Your spine is severely deformed, pressing on your cranial and optic nerves. That's the main reason why you see everyone as pigs. The only solution is surgery to correct it, but the risk is very high. If it fails, you could end up paralyzed from the neck down." Yi Chuan stared at the pig-headed figure in a white coat before him, nodded as if he half understood. He reached out his hand. "Doctor, are you done talking? Then please give me back my spine." The female doctor froze in place, then wrote on the medical record with a complicated look, "Mental condition, severely abnormal." Moments later, Yi Chuan walked out of the hospital and boarded a bus heading to school. Ever since he could remember, everyone had looked like pigs to him. Call it a sickness if you will, but it never really affected his daily life. Except when it came to choosing a partner. After all, Yi Chuan wasn't some pervert who could fall in love with pigs. He had hoped to fix this problem before the job change ceremony, but clearly, that wasn't going to happen. When Yi Chuan returned to Qingsheng High School, a tall, graceful girl walked quickly toward him. "Yi Chuan, you're finally here. I was worried sick. If you'd been late, I'd have smacked you." Su Lingxian puffed her cheeks in mock anger, waving her tiny pink fist. But in Yi Chuan's eyes, she was nothing more than a pink pig standing on two legs, waving its hooves. Around them, whispers and chuckles spread. "There goes Su Lingxian clinging to Yi Chuan again. They're always flaunting their childhood sweetheart act. Grew up together, two peas in a pod. Bet they'll get married right after the job change ceremony." Hearing the teasing voices around them, Su Lingxian's face turned even redder, yet she stood firmly by Yi Chuan's side, gazing up at him with deep affection as if he were the very source of her courage. Yi Chuan felt goosebumps all over his body. After all, if anyone were stared at lovingly by a pig's head, their reaction would probably be the same. "Silence. Line up according to your student numbers. The awakening ceremony is about to begin." The principal's stern voice echoed. At the center of the plaza stood a dark crystal, dazzling and colorful like a starry night sky. In this world, there were three primary attributes: strength, agility, and spirit. The higher one's stats, the greater the chance of awakening into a high-tier class. Awakening into an advanced combat profession was like defying fate itself. comparable to passing the imperial exams in ancient times. The first student stepped forward full of anticipation. After a brief silence, the awakening crystal flickered with a dim white light. Life class profession, intermediate fitter. Principal Zhao Ming calmly shook his head as he announced the result. The student collapsed slowly to the ground, as if all hope had been drained from him. Soon, the second student stepped up, life class profession, low-level engineer. Then came the third, the fourth, over 20 in a row, all awakened only into life class professions. Finally, when the 24th student walked up to the altar, the awakening crystal erupted with a brilliant golden light. Principal Zhao Ming's eyes lit up instantly to a golden glow. This was a rare class profession. Even if it were just life type, the graduate could still earn tens of thousands a month, far beyond the ordinary. But when Zhao Ming saw the exact class, his excitement soared. Combat profession, rare class, shadowless bladesman. Student, what's your name? His gaze burned with enthusiasm. With a rare combat class, this young man would almost certainly be listed among Qingcheng High School's most outstanding alumni. Principal, my name is Lu Jinglong. Lu Jinglong, an excellent name. Take a good rest for now. Later, I'll personally visit your home and speak with your parents about your future. Zhao Ming patted him warmly on the shoulder. Thank you, Principal. Lu Jinglong's voice trembled with excitement that he knew his fate had changed from this very day. The awakening ceremony continued in full swing, and soon it was Yi Chuan's turn. Go for it, Yi Chuan. Su Ling Xuan's cheeks flushed red as she cheered him on. Yi Chuan took a deep breath and stepped onto the altar. Though he knew the odds were high he'd awaken only a life class profession, he still clung to a final shred of hope. Most ordinary people had a total of only 3 stat points, but his combined attributes reached a staggering 10, more than triple the average. Perhaps a miracle was waiting. The moment Yi Chuan placed his hands on the awakening crystal, a pillar of blood-red light roared into the sky. The crowd erupted in shock, gasping and whispering to each other. Red light? What rank is that supposed to be? I don't know. All I know is legendary classes glow black, epic classes glow purple, rare classes glow yellow, and the rest are just white. Principal Zhao Ming's jaw nearly hit the floor. God tier. It's really a god tier. Our Qingcheng High School has produced a god tier profession. Zhao Ming had served as principal his entire life, never once seeing even a legendary class. Yet here, right before his retirement, fate handed him a god tier awakening. Heaven itself must be blessing him. Maybe he'd even get promoted before stepping down. But when Zhao Ming finally saw Yi Chuan's actual class, he froze on the spot. Life class profession, god tier butcher. His teeth clenched, breath heavy, chest heaving as though his lungs might burst. A god tier profession, and it turned out to be life type, a butcher of all things. Was heaven mocking him? Even life type god tier professions were priceless treasures. God tier blacksmiths, healers, alchemists, the kind that countless combat professions would bow down to curry favor. But a butcher? No one in their right mind would grovel to a pig slayer. A god-tier butcher was still just a butcher. IT was like slapping diamonds onto a GTX 1060 graphics card. No matter how many jewels you stick on it, it'll never outperform a 4090. Yi Chuan, Principal Zhao Ming let out a long sigh. The greater the hope, the harsher the disappointment. He thought Yi Chuan would deliver a miracle, but instead, it turned into a bitter joke. Yi Chuan, however, wasn't surprised. The Hokage's son becomes Hokage, a general's son becomes a general. The son of a scapegoat remains a scapegoat. So the son of a butcher becoming a butcher. Perfectly reasonable. He pulled up his class panel. Talents, Swinebane, Divine Butcher's Blade. Skill, Blood Shadow Butcher, Swinebane. Deal plus 50% damage to pigs. Each pig slain increases the bonus by plus 1%. Damage taken from pigs is halved. Divine Butcher's Blade. Designate a weapon as your butcher's knife. Every pig killed with it grants plus 0.1 free attribute points. Blood Shadow Butcher. Unleash the butcher's killing intent, forcing pigs into 1 second of absolute fear. After reading through his talents and skills, Even Yi Chuan was a little surprised. A god-tier butcher truly was something else. It actually granted him two talents with limitless growth potential if Swinebane and Divine Butcher's blade stacked together. No matter how powerful the pig, it would probably fall in a single strike. The pity was, all of it only worked on pigs. Yi Chuan suddenly felt that being insane wasn't so be a to him. The world was filled with pigs, and now he was going hunting. He stepped down from the altar with a calm face. Shock, disdain, mockery, pity, schadenfreude. Countless emotions mingled, stabbing into him like blades. To awaken a god-tier profession only to end up as a butcher, the gap between expectation and reality was like heaven and earth. TSK, and here I thought Qin Shanghai would produce a true dragon. Turns out it's just a pig slayer. Lu Jinglong sneered, his eyes brimming with undisguised glee. Exactly. All that commotion, and it's just a butcher. What a joke. Jinglong, you're the only true dragon of Qin Shanghai. Others quickly chimed in after Lu Jinglong spoke. It's okay, Yi Chuan. Awakening as a god-tier butcher just means you're carrying on your father's legacy. Uncle Yi must be proud, and my dad will be happy too. While everyone else mocked, Su Lingxian rose on tiptoe and gently patted Yi Chuan's head. Yi Chuan nodded calmly. He and Su Lingxian were neighbors, and with both their parents being life-class professionals, they'd long hinted at wanting to match the two together. Unfortunately, in Yi Chuan's eyes, Su Lingxian had always looked like a pig since childhood, and he could never convince himself to fall in love with one. My turn. Yi Chuan, do you think I'll inherit Mom's tailor class or Dad's brewer class? Su Lingxian stuck out her pink little tongue playfully before stepping toward the awakening altar. The instant her foot touched the altar, a sudden anomaly erupted. A massive pillar of dense black light shot into the sky, casting everyone's faces into shadow. In a heartbeat, the noisy playground fell dead silent. Mouths hung open, eyes widened in disbelief, until a single shout shattered the silence. Legendary class. Someone awakened a legendary class. Principal Zhao Ming's jaw dropped as he stared at the beam in shock. No way. First a trash god-tier class, and now don't tell me it's going to be a trash legendary too? Zhao Ming's heart pounded in his chest. Everyone present was stunned beyond words. First a god-tier, now a legendary. Qin Shanghai was truly making history this year. All eyes locked onto the graceful figure beneath the black beam. Su Lingxian, already stunningly beautiful, now seemed shrouded in an indescribable aura of mystery under the glow of the black light, drawing every gaze deeper into her presence. Combat profession, legendary tier, frost soul, sword immortal. Zhao Ming's face flushed red with excitement, nearly leaping to his feet. How long had it been since Qin Sheng produced a legendary combat class? Forget legendary. Even an epic combat class would have set off drums and fireworks across the city. Su Lingxian, but both her parents are life-class professionals. Is this some kind of awakening mutation? Zhao Ming quickly stepped forward. Su Lingxian, rest assured. Whatever you need, Qin Shanghai will do everything in its power to support you. Thank you, Principal. Su Lingxian smiled politely, bowing her head before stepping gracefully down from the altar. In that moment, every eye in the school was fixed on her. She was now, without question, the center of the world. Yet no one dared to approach and curry favor. Because everyone knew, from this moment on, Su Lingxuan's life and theirs would diverge completely, like two straight lines that would never meet again. Congratulations. Yi Chuan clapped with a smile, genuinely happy for her. Yi Chuan. Su Lingxuan's eyes flickered with a complex emotion, one hard to name. I admit, we may have had some misunderstandings before, but from now on, those misunderstandings are gone because we're no longer people of the same world. All eyes turned to Yi Chuan, faces filled with schadenfreude, a god-tier butcher, and a legendary combatant. Childhood sweethearts split apart in an instant. Life was full of highs and lows. Many who had awakened only life class professions suddenly felt a lot better about themselves. At least they weren't as miserable as Yichuan. All right, Yichuan nodded calmly. But in the eyes of Su Lingxian and the crowd, it was nothing more than forced composure after a mental breakdown. I know this must be a huge blow to you, but you're just a butcher that you'll never accomplish anything great. Don't blame me. Su Lingxuan's voice softened with a trace of pity as she looked at him. If you have no objections, then that's it. That I hope you won't cling to me anymore, that I'll explain everything to my parents. She shifted her gaze away. In her mind, the sooner she cut ties, the better, before Yichuan could nurture any false hope. Yichuan was speechless, a pig nagging him not to cling to it. How absurd was that? Without looking back, he turned and walked away, secretly relieved to finally be rid of this pig head. Su Lingxian, do you want me to teach him a lesson? Make him face reality? Lu Jinglong's eyes burned as he eagerly stepped forward. To him, if he could win Su Lingxian over with her legendary combat class and his rare combat class, they would live a life of glory and prestige. But when Su Lingxian ignored him, leaving him embarrassed, Lu Jinglong turned his hostility toward Yichuan instead. Hey, butcher boy, get over here. Lost in thought about where to find pigs to slaughter next, Yichuan didn't even hear Lu Jinglong's words. Seeing himself treated like air, Lu Jinglong narrowed his eyes, a dangerous glint flashing within. Did a mere butcher dare to ignore him? He had already hated Yichuan for stealing his spotlight earlier. Now his fury boiled over. I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Think you can just walk away? Not so easy. His voice carried a chilling edge. Move. Yichuan lifted his head, casting a calm glance at the pig head before him. But that single glance sent a terrifying chill through Lu Jinglong, as though a predator had locked onto him. His body recoiled on its own, stumbling back several steps before collapsing onto the ground. In that instant, he felt like a hog tied to the butcher's block, awaiting the blade. Lu Jinglong's face flushed crimson, his composure shattered. He had actually been scared to the ground by a butcher. You worthless trash! How dare you glare at me? You're nothing but a pig slayer. Who do you think you are? Consumed by rage, Lu Jinglong lunged forward, throwing a heavy punch straight at Yichuan's face. The blow carried all his strength, with no intention of holding back. Yichuan remained utterly calm, no dodging, no hesitation, as he threw his own punch to meet it head-on. With his abnormally high attributes, how could he fear Lu Jinglong? Under the boost of Swinebane, Yichuan's strike gained extra power, while Lu Jinglong's punch was weakened by half. When their fists collided, crack, a sharp snap echoed. The ferocity on Lu Jinglong's face froze in an instant. He had never expected this outcome. Screaming in pain, he staggered backward, his fist twisted at a grotesque angle, clearly broken. Impossible! You're just a butcher. Cold sweat streamed down his forehead, his face pale with disbelief. It was common knowledge. Life class professions could enhance strength, yes, but compared to combat classes, their talents and skills offered no real boost in battle at the same level. Even 10 life classes together couldn't match one fighter. I'm a butcher, having a bit more strength in my hands. Doesn't that make sense? Yichuan said flatly, calm as ever. Lu Jinglong nearly lost his mind. Yichuan, I'll kill you. With a furious roar, he summoned his exclusive weapon, the Void Longblade. This blade can slice through steel and iron like paper. Now crawl over and beg for forgiveness. Or don't blame me for what happens next. But in the next instant, Lu Jinglong's Void Longblade was suddenly encased in frost, frozen solid. Even his body began to ice over, leaving him completely immobile. It was Su Lingxian who had intervened. Stop that, I don't want to see you fighting like this over me. Yichuan, you've seen it yourself. We're no longer part of the same world. This is the last time I'll step in for you. Leave Qingqiang that if Lu Jinglong comes for revenge next time, I won't help you again. From this moment on, we have nothing to do with each other. With that, she turned and walked away. Yichuan, listening to her words, only felt baffled. Well, if that's all, I'll just head home then. The scene shifted. Yichuan walked alone down the road toward his home. Unexpectedly, he was blocked by a rich woman's pet dog. In Yichuan's eyes, however, it was nothing but a fat pig barking on the street with its piglet. "Ma'am, could you control your piglet?" "Oh wait, I mean your pet." What greeted him instead was the furious roar of a pig-headed woman. "Is this road yours? I'll walk wherever I damn well please." Hearing this, Yichuan sighed helplessly. "If that's the case, don't blame me for being rude. I'm a lunatic. Why would I be afraid of you?" With that, he kicked the woman's pet dog straight to the afterlife. The rich woman fell to her knees, wailing over the corpse. "Son, don't scare mommy like this." System prompt: slaughtered a small pig. Level plus 0.1%. Swinebane bonus damage plus 1%. Seeing the system panel, Yichuan's eyes lit up with joy. "It works! Amazing! This system really is as insane as I am." The furious woman lunged at him, screaming, "You bastard! How dare you kill my son? Bullying an old woman. I'll fight you to the death." Yichuan calmly pulled out his official certificate of mental illness. "Anything else? If not, I'll be on my way." The rich woman froze on the spot, facing a madman. If he killed her dog, or even killed her, it would all be in vain. In the next second, she forced a kindly smile. No problem that I was just passing by. Goodbye, young man." The scene shifted. Yichuan returned home. To his surprise, when his parents learned he had awakened as a butcher, they showed no disappointment at all. "Boy, being a butcher isn't bad. Now you can properly inherit your old man's trade." Time quickly slipped into the late night. While Yichuan was still fast asleep, a shadow appeared outside his parents' bedroom window. His father's voice came through. "Now that my son has awakened as nothing more than an ordinary butcher, I ask that you stop disturbing our lives." The shadow chuckled coldly. "How surprising. Are you sure he's really your biological son?" Those words instantly enraged his father. "I'll say it again. Don't come back here, or don't blame me for what happens next." Seeing his anger, the figure quickly backed down. "Calm down. Since your son truly is just a butcher, the organization won't trouble you any further." With that, the shadow vanished into the night. The scene shifted to the next day at the slaughterhouse. Why Yichuan's father brought him to get familiar with the family business. The very first task, choosing the right butcher's knife. Yichuan's eyes immediately locked onto the blade placed at the center. The moment he picked it up, system prompt: butcher's knife selected. Divine Butcher's Blade activated. Each pig slain with this weapon grants plus 0.1 free attribute points. For a butcher, the first step was to master the blade in his hand. Standing before him, a fat pig squealed in terror. From behind, his father patiently instructed, "Try it. See if you can strike its weak spot in one blow." With a flash of steel, Yichuan brought down his first kill. The pig thrashed a few times before going limp, life snuffed out. System prompt: slaughtered one normal pig with butcher's knife. Level plus 1%. Swinebane bonus damage plus 1%. Free attribute plus 0.1. Even his father was stunned. For a first attempt, it was already impressive, though not precise enough. If you'd aimed for the carotid artery in the neck, it would have been an instant kill. Yichuan nodded earnestly. His father patted his head. "Son, I know butchering pigs must feel dull and tedious at your age, but it's the trade our family survives on." But Yichuan, eager to grow stronger, quickly offered, "Let me handle all the pigs in the pen." Hearing this, his father beamed. "That's my boy. From now on, I can leave the pigs to you with no worries." And so, with every swing of his blade, Yichuan kept slaughtering pigs, and his level rose rapidly. Not until the entire pen was emptied did he finally stop to rest. System prompt: 49 pigs slaughtered. Swinebane bonus damage plus 100%. Attributes increased from 10 to 15 at current level. Apprentice tier 5. Looking at the rows of hanging carcasses, another butcher joked, "That your son looks like he's addicted to pig killing. Finished a whole week's worth of work in a single day." Yichuan's father puffed out his chest proudly. "Of course, my son is a god-tier butcher." Staring at the blade in his hand, Yichuan thought to himself, Now that he'd mastered control over the butcher's knife, it was time to venture outside. This was a world overrun by monsters. Nations had long ceased to exist. Humanity united under the Human Federation, divided into 9 special zones. Qingcheng lay on the edge of the 5th zone. The next day, Yichuan packed everything he needed and prepared to hunt monsters beyond the city walls. At the gate, a guard stopped him. "You're a life class profession. Outside the city, your activity range is limited to 1 kilometer. Beyond that, your life will be in danger. Understand?" Yichuan said nothing, only nodded in acknowledgement. Moments after he stepped into the forest, rustling came from the bushes behind him. A grotesque goblin, clutching a dagger, leapt out. Yichuan instantly activated Blood Shadow Butcher. The goblin froze in terror under his killing aura, paralyzed for 1 second. Yichuan seized the chance, swinging his butcher's knife. 1 clean strike ended it. System prompt: Goblin Pig Slain. Level plus 5%. Swinebane bonus damage plus 1%. Free attribute plus 0.1. As expected, wild pigs taste far better than domestic ones. This way, I'll be leveling up in no time. At that moment, a dozen pairs of crimson eyes flickered in the darkness, all locked onto him. "Come out, my little piglets." A horde of goblins shrieked and charged straight at Yichuan. He swung his blade, each strike claiming a life. In an instant, several goblins were down. To him, it was no different from slaughtering pigs in a pen. Soon, only 1 trembling goblin remained. "Little piglet, let me send you to join your companions." Terrified, the goblin turned and bolted. Yichuan silently tailed it, arriving before a pitch-black cavern. So this must be the goblin's nest. Screams echoed through the cave as one by one, the goblins fell lifeless to the ground. System prompt: Profession, God tier butcher. Level, Apprentice tier 6. Swinebane bonus damage to pigs. Plus 120%. Just then, a muffled whimper echoed from behind him. Yichuan turned and saw the sound came from behind a wooden door. He raised his foot and kicked it down in 1 strike. The sight inside made him pause for a moment. A young maiden, bound tightly with ropes, trembled on the ground. Beside her, 2 newborn goblins cried incessantly, squealing for milk. Tears welled in the girl's eyes as she stared at Yichuan, silently pleading, "Please save me." Yichuan said nothing, simply lifting his butcher's knife. The girl thought her life was about to end, despair flashing across her face. But instead, Yichuan's blade came down on the 2 infant goblins, ending them instantly. In the same motion, he sliced apart the ropes binding the girl. Quiet now. The goblins are all dead. Seeing all the goblins slain, the girl threw herself into Yichuan's arms, overwhelmed with relief. "Thank you for saving me. I was so close to being ruined." Yichuan replied bluntly, "I didn't come here to save you." The girl didn't mind, continuing on her own. "You killed all these? That's incredible. You must be a combat profession, right? What's your name?" After leaving the cave, Yichuan pointed her toward the road back to the city. Yet for some reason, she quietly followed after him. Yichuan immediately drew his butcher's knife and demanded, "Why are you following me? Are you a goblin spy?" Startled, the girl hurriedly confessed that she was simply too afraid to return alone. She revealed her name was Xianen that Tio prepare for her mother's birthday. She had come here seeking a blood moon flower. Unfortunately, she had been captured by goblins instead. "How about we make a deal?" she suggested. "If you help me find the blood moon flower, I'll hire the best blacksmith in Qingcheng to forge you a new blade." "The best blacksmith in Qingcheng? Do you even know how much that would cost? Just head back, stop following me, or I'll cut you down myself." Xianan pouted in frustration, grumbling inwardly. "I'm a beauty, and this guy treats me so coldly. Is he brain damaged?" She hurried after him. "Hey, do you even know who I am? My father is Xia Beihai." Yichuan froze for a moment. Xia Beihai, the head of the Xia clan, one of Qingcheng's 4 great families, a tier 9 master, only 1 step away from grandmaster. If that was true, with his wealth, forging 10 top-grade butcher's knives would be nothing at all. At this, Yi Chuan's expression instantly shifted into a fawning grin. Really? Xia Nanan proudly produced a token. This is the Xia family's protected talisman. My father gave it to me. Even a tier 9 fighter couldn't scratch me. But those goblins were too sly. They only caught me because of a sneak attack. They couldn't get close otherwise, so they locked me up instead that if not, I might have already... Yi Chuan didn't care about her explanation at all. His eyes were fixed on the token, studying it for a long moment before confirming. It was indeed genuine, a true Xia family artifact. Yi Chuan nodded. I believe you that I'll help you find the Blood Moon flower, and you'll get me a top-grade blade. Xia Nan quickly reached out her hand. Deal. She immediately pulled out a map. This is where the Blood Moon flower grows, but there's a Blood Moon python there. It's extremely dangerous. According to my intel, that serpent's strength is equal to a tier 9 apprentice that I don't know if you can handle it. But what Yi Chuan cared about was, I've never seen a python in my life. I wonder if its head looks like a pig too. Come on, hurry up and lead the way that I'm actually getting excited. Xia Nan nearly tripped at his reaction. Did he even listen to what I just said? Still, if he could wipe out an entire goblin tribe alone, he had to be a god-tier combatant. For some reason, though, he gave off a strange feeling, both reliable and completely unreliable at the same time. As they traveled forward, a silver-horned rhino appeared, its strength equal to a tier 8 apprentice. Xia Nan quickly suggested, let's just sneak around and own need for a pointless fight. But Yi Chuan stepped forward without hesitation. Pointing straight at the rhino, he shouted, eat grass today, eat people tomorrow. Can't let you live. Xia Nan was dumbfounded by his twisted logic. What kind of reason is that? Yi Chuan gripped his butcher's knife and charged straight at the silver-horned rhino. The beast immediately sensed the threat, but with a few flashes of his blade, the rhino crashed to the ground, lifeless. Xia Nan's eyes widened in shock. Am I hallucinating? With just a single strike, he had slain a beast equal to a tier 8 apprentice. There was no way this guy could possibly be that strong. Meanwhile, Yi Chuan's system chimed. Level up. Apprentice tier 7 silverhorned pig slain. Swinebane bonus damage plus 122%. He glanced at the butcher's knife in his hand, now chipped along the edge, and muttered inwardly. How much longer can this blade even hold out? At that moment, Xia Nan rushed over, desperate to know what profession he had awakened into. How could he kill a beast that powerful in one stroke? When she learned the truth, that he was just a life-class profession, a butcher, she flat out refused to believe it. There's no way a life class could do something like this. To stop Xia Nan from pestering him further, Yi Chuan casually explained while prying off the rhino's horn. This beast was already dying of illness. That's why it went down so fast. Seeing his calm expression, Xia Nan actually believed the nonsense. She then told Yi Chuan that the Blood Moon flower was nearby and led him deeper into the forest. Meanwhile, the principal also entered this part of the woods, with Su Lingxian and Lu Jinglong trailing behind him. This field training has gone well, the principal said. You've all done me proud. Lu Jinglong was grinning from ear to ear, thinking that with a few more chances to spend time with Su Lingxian, she would surely be his. Suddenly, the principal heard a strange noise behind them. I hit he once. Everyone turned their gaze. Two figures emerged from a distance. When they realized it was Yi Chuan and an unfamiliar girl, Lu Jinglong sneered, muttering, "This isn't a place for trash like you." But Yi Chuan replied without hesitation, "I was just passing by." Just then, a girl in yellow spoke up, convinced she had seen through everything. "Passing by? Don't make me laugh. You just can't let go of Sister Lingxian, clinging to her like a leech." Even Su Lingxian seemed to believe it, her pig face filled with disdain. "I told you last time, we're from two different worlds now. Let me repeat myself, stop pestering me." Yi Chuan clenched his fists, barely restraining the urge to cut down this pig-headed woman on the spot. Meanwhile, Lu Jinglong sneered inwardly. Last time Yi Chuan had humiliated him in front of Su Lingxian. This time, he would have his revenge. Bursting into laughter, he shouted, "Yi Chuan, I was just looking for you. I never thought you'd be stupid enough to show up yourself. He summoned his weapon, its blade gleaming with a chilling light. One of his lackeys gasped. That's a yellow-grade, low-tier spirit weapon. A genuine spirit weapon. Even the principal nodded to himself, impressed that in just 2.5 days, Lu Jinglong had forged his weapon into a spirit weapon. With his Tier 4 apprentice strength, he could already stand toe-to-toe with a Tier 6. Su Lingxian resumed her arrogant posture, declaring coldly, Yi Chuan, I already warned you. Leave Qingcheng. This time, I won't lift a finger to save you. Xia Nanan whispered nervously, Do you have some grudge with these people? But Yi Chuan ignored the question and instead asked calmly, A yellow-grade, low-tier spirit weapon. How much is it worth? Xia Nanan blinked in confusion. Maybe 100, 200,000 at most? Hey, do you even realize the situation you're in? The next moment, the screech of blades grinding against each other filled the air. Lu Jinglong's weapon came slashing down at Yi Chuan. Yi Chuan drew his butcher's knife and parried with ease. The principal's eyes widened in disbelief. How had he managed that? But as Lu Jinglong pressed harder, the butcher's knife finally gave way under the spirit weapon's power, snapping cleanly in two. Lu Jinglong's confidence soared as he sneered. As I thought, you're nothing but a filthy pig slayer. Kneel and beg now, and maybe I'll consider sparing you. The principal knew full well that an ordinary blade was as fragile as paper before a spirit weapon, yet he made no move to intervene. Yi Chuan had provoked the wrong person. But Yi Chuan simply tossed aside the broken butcher's knife and said coldly, To deal with you, I don't even need a blade. Lu Jinglong's face darkened. This fool still refused to cry until he saw his coffin. Roaring, he swung his weapon down toward Yi Chuan. Yi Chuan countered with a single punch. In the next instant, his fist landed squarely in Lu Jinglong's abdomen. The young man was launched backward, sent flying through the air. He crashed to the ground like a dead pig, sliding into the middle of the crowd. Gasps erupted everywhere. Even the principal was dumbstruck. This was supposed to be a prodigy capable of fighting evenly with a Tier 6 apprentice, and yet he'd been floored with one punch. His lackeys hurried forward to drag him up. Though Lu Jinglong muttered that he was fine, he clenched his teeth, forcing himself not to faint. Passing out now would make him a laughingstock. At that moment, the principal fixed his gaze on Yi Chuan, a bold thought rising in his mind. Then, everyone heard his incredulous words. Yi Chuan, don't tell me you've already reached Tier 7 apprentice? Yi Chuan casually picked up the yellow-grade, low-tier spirit weapon Lu Jinglong had dropped. Not BAD, IET, least it's sturdier than my butcher's knife. The surrounding students were shocked to see Yi Chuan already at Tier 7. After all, even Su Lingxian was only Tier 6. The principal quickly tried to explain it away. It's possible. Though life class and combat class professions share the same tier system, their methods of leveling are completely different. Combat professions must endure grueling training early on, gaining experience only through constant battles. That's why their progress is often slow in the beginning. But once they break through, their growth accelerates rapidly. Life professions, however, are much easier in the early stages. Take alchemists or blacksmiths, for example. They don't need to fight at all. They simply refine their craft, and their levels rise naturally. The principal added, Yi Chuan is, after all, a god-tier butcher. His family owns a pig farm. He must have slaughtered plenty these past 2 days. Fast leveling in the early stages is only natural. Hearing this, Su Lingxian finally nodded in realization. I see, but doesn't that make it unfair to combat professions? Don't worry, the principal replied. Later on, life class professions face exponentially harder leveling. By then, Yi Chuan will need to slaughter an absurd number of pigs just to advance. Even as he said this, doubt flickered in his heart. Those words were mostly just to reassure the students. After all, he had never seen a life class profession rise this quickly before. Seeing no further reason to linger, Yi Chuan prepared to take his leave. But Su Lingxian suddenly spoke up, her tone self-absorbed. Yi Chuan, why are you doing this? All that pig killing and leveling up, It's just to impress me, isn't it? I've already been guaranteed admission to Skirich Academy. Soon, you might not even get to see me. Oh, stop clinging to me. Yi Chuan was speechless. And what does that have to do with me? I finally managed to shake off a pig-headed woman like you. Only pigs would cling to another pig. Xia Nan, unable to stomach it any longer, finally stepped forward. She was determined to stand up for Yi Chuan. Yi Chuan came here to help me find the blood moon flower, and instead he runs into you brain-dead idiots. A girl on the side muttered her own fantasy. Unbelievable. The trash Ling Xian dumped already found himself a new girl so quickly. Hey girl, take my advice. Don't get too close to this waste. Otherwise, your future will be nothing but slaughtering pigs with him. Xia Nan had heard enough. With no patience left, she lashed out with a single slap. That slap struck all 5 of their faces at once, sending them staggering. No one expected her slap to have an AoE effect. The principal looked utterly wrong. What did I even say? Why am I getting slapped too? Su Lingxian, who had never been struck in her life, was driven into a furious rage. She snarled, "You've signed your death warrant. I'll make you pay dearly for that slap." Knowing she couldn't win in a fight, Xia Nan immediately revealed her trump card. The principal's eyes widened in shock at the sight of the token. He rushed forward to stop Su Lingxian. "You can't touch her. She's the eldest daughter of the Xia family." His expression flipped instantly into a sycophantic smile as he turned to Xia Nan. "Miss Xia, it was all a misunderstanding. Please be magnanimous and forgive us." Xia Nan's tone was icy. "Principal Zhao, how can your students have such poor conduct? I don't care about myself." But she must apologize to Yi Chuan. Su Lingxian ground her teeth in fury, but didn't dare lash out. Under the principal's stern order, she reluctantly muttered to Yi Chuan, "Sorry." Yet in her heart, she had already sworn vengeance against the Xia family. The humiliation of today, I'll make you repay it 100-fold. Yi Chuan quickly waved it off. "It's fine." Without another word, he pulled Xia Nan along, ready to leave the place at once. In the corner, Lu Jinglong finally remembered his spirit weapon. "Give me back my Qing foam blade." But Yi Chuan ignored him completely. "If you've got the guts, come and take it yourself." In the end, Lu Jinglong could only watch helplessly as Yi Chuan walked away, hatred burning in his eyes. Damn pig butcher. Just you wait. The scene shifted. Yi Chuan and Xia Nan had already reached the territory of the Blood Moon Python. Xia Nan glanced at the map in her hand. This should be the place that we'll need to be careful from here on. At that moment, Yi Chuan bound the stolen Qing Feng blade as his exclusive butcher's knife. System prompt. You have selected your exclusive butcher's knife. Godslayer's Edge activated. Each pig slain with this blade grants plus 0.2 free attribute points. Just then, Yi Chuan was stunned as Xia Nan pulled 2 orbs, one red, one blue, from her chest. He pointed at her chest with curiosity. "What is this, Doryman's pocket? And what are those things?" Xia Nan replied, "They're Thunderfire orbs. Even a Tier 9 fighter would be seriously injured if caught off guard. When the Blood Moon Python shows up, these will be our lifeline." Hearing it was for emergencies, Yi Chuan didn't bother further. Instead, he decided to scout ahead alone. With a leap, he landed right at the entrance of the Blood Moon Python's lair. To his surprise, the cave mouth was lined with blood moon flowers, and not just any, but the rare twin bloom variant. What luck, he thought. But at that moment, Xia Nan's eyes went wide in horror, staring past him. A massive blood-red python had silently appeared behind Yi Chuan. As he turned his head toward the sound, all he saw was what looked like a pig-headed serpent looming before him. Calmly, he muttered, "What are you staring at? I only picked one of your flowers. Don't tell me you're that stingy." The blood serpent froze. It was the first time it had met such an arrogant human. Grabbing the loot was all that mattered. So Yi Chuan spun around and bolted. He still shouted at Xia Nan, "Don't just stand there. Finish it off." Hearing that, Xia Nan snatched up the Thunderfire Pearl, and in the next second hurled it with all her strength. A deafening explosion erupted, the shockwave blasting Yi Chuan off his feet. It was a reckless move, hurting the enemy 1,000 while wounding herself 800. But caught in the very heart of the blast, the blood serpent was badly mangled. Its massive body trembled a few times before plunging straight off the cliff. Yichuan handed over the blood crystal blossom he had just seized. Xiaonanin's eyes lit up with delight. Ordinary blood moon flowers could only slow aging, but the twin-petaled blood crystal flower promised eternal youth. What woman wouldn't crave such a gift? Realizing its power, Yichuan instantly decided he had to get another one for his mother. But to Xiaonanan, it looked like he meant to give the other blossom to her. She thought to herself, finally, this blockhead gets it. Yet just as Yichuan reached for the second flower, the wounded blood serpent suddenly returned. Xiaonanan froze. If even the Thunderfire Pearl couldn't kill it, that meant this serpent, even if not at the Ascension Realm, was already terrifyingly close to the peak of 9th rank apprentice. While she was still processing this, Yichuan turned and asked if she had another one of those pearls. Xiaonanan snapped, "What do you think Thunderfire Pearls grow on trees? My dad only gave me one pair." Left with no choice, Yichuan turned his gaze back to the serpent and unleashed his Blood Shadow Butcher skill. At that moment, fear filled the serpent's eyes. It felt like nothing more than a pig waiting for slaughter. Seizing its hesitation, Yichuan yanked Xiaonanan along, grumbling, "Are you insane? This is the perfect chance to run." But instead of blaming him, Xiaonanan blushed and said she'd been waiting for him. After all, he had risked his life to pick the blood crystal flower for her. Yichuan shot back without a second thought. "Who said it was for you?" "It's for my mom." Xiaonanan froze, feeling like a complete clown. Yet before she could dwell on it, the blood serpent was already closing in behind them. But in Yichuan's mind, dragging this pig-headed girl around was nothing but trouble. She couldn't take a hint, kept whining in his ear, so he suddenly hurled her aside. Xiaonanan's eyes widened in terror. In the next instant, Yichuan was swallowed whole by the blood serpent. She snapped back to her senses and panicked, screaming his name over and over. But the serpent wasn't about to pass up the chance to devour her as well. Just then, a gleaming blade ripped through the serpent's body, and in a flash spun 360 degrees, slicing it clean in half. Xiaonanan stood frozen. The beast that had nearly eaten her was now nothing more than a corpse. And when Yichuan crawled out of its belly, she instantly threw herself into his arms, crying out, "You're okay. Thank God. I thought you were about to get turned into snake poop." But right after, Xiaonanan wrinkled her nose and covered it with her hand, disgusted by the stench clinging to Yichuan. Yichuan, however, was staring at his system panel in a daze. He hadn't expected the serpent to be a special grade beast, one that instantly pushed him up to 8th rank apprentice. Before long, Yichuan and Xiaonanan finally returned to town, just in time to run into an elder of the Xia family who had come to fetch her. Xiaonanan pulled out the blood crystal flower, flashed a sweet smile, and announced she had found it. The elder, well aware of the dangers of harvesting such a flower, was about to scold her for taking such a reckless risk. But when she explained that, thanks to Yichuan's protection, she had hardly faced any danger at all, the elder's eyes finally shifted to him. Instinctively, the old man asked about Yichuan's identity. When he learned the boy was nothing more than an ordinary pig butcher, he couldn't help but groan inwardly. How could Miss Ya rely on a life-skill worker to protect her? And this guy looked downright clueless. But was it really him who killed the blood serpent? Though doubt lingered in his mind, the elder still slipped off the golden ring on his finger, saying, "This ring is worth 200,000. Consider it a reward for protecting our young lady." But Yichuan brushed the man's hand aside and replied, "I don't want that. All I need is a pig-slaying knife." The elder nearly choked. Is this kid brain dead? Passing up such treasure just for a rusty butcher's blade? Xiaonanan quickly stepped in to explain. "Uncle Zhao, Yichuan wants the best weapon forger in Qingsheng to craft him a spirit weapon. I already promised him that." Uncle Zhao immediately agreed, assuring them he would handle it personally. But since the Xia family head was urgently waiting to see Xia Nanan, she had no choice but to wave goodbye to Yi Chuan, promising she would come back for him. Yet before leaving, Uncle Zhao's tone hardened. The Xia family can meet any request you make, but there's one thing we won't allow. Don't you dare harbor improper thoughts about our young lady. Yi Chuan was left speechless, thinking to himself, your so-called young lady? In my eyes, she's nothing more than a pighead. Without hesitation, Yi Chuan replied, relax. I promise I won't get entangled with your young lady. All I want is a top-grade spirit weapon. Uncle Zhao finally looked satisfied. He told Yi Chuan that Qingqing's greatest forger, Master Ironheart, was on good terms with the Xia family. He would put in a word, and the master would come find him tomorrow. Meanwhile, deep within the forest, a slender, jade-like foot rested beside the blood serpent's corpse. A cold voice muttered, killing my pet beast and stealing my spirit ginseng. This human truly has a death wish. I've memorized your scent. None of you will escape. With those words, a terrifying aura erupted, sweeping across the land. Yi Chuan, of course, knew nothing of this. He was only thinking of selling the beast parts in his hands for money. After all, his father always said, anything taken from a savage beast could fetch a high price. Yi Chuan stepped into the shop and stated his purpose. The salesgirl looked shocked. She hadn't expected someone with such a scrawny frame to take down a silver-horn rhino. She offered 10,000 for it on the spot. Yi Chuan froze. His dad only made 100 from butchering a pig, so this single rhino horn was worth 100 pigs? Suddenly, his eyes caught on something behind the counter. He asked if 10,000 would be enough to buy it. The clerk explained it was a golden scale soft armor, crafted from fire serpent scales. Not only was its defense incredible, but it also kept the wearer warm in cold and cool and heat. When Yi Chuan heard the price, 150,000, he was floored. That meant his dad would have to butcher 1,500 pigs. With that thought, he slammed Lu Jinglong's spirit weapon onto the counter. What if I trade this instead? The salesgirl instantly recognized it as a low-grade yellow-tier spirit weapon. With a beaming smile, she slipped the golden scale armor onto Yi Chuan, saying, of course, this armor was practically tailor-made for you. But inwardly, she was thinking, this kid has so many rare treasures. He must be from a high-ranking combat class. If I can hook him, I'll never have to worry for the rest of my life. She immediately began fussing over him, explaining that normally a trade like this required a 10,000 handling fee, but since he was so handsome, she'd waive it, on the condition that he find a way to thank her later. She also pressed to know what profession he belonged to. Yi Chuan casually answered, pig butcher. The salesgirl froze. She had imagined 1,000 possibilities, but never that he was just a butcher. A little later, Yi Chuan returned home and handed the blood crystal flower to his mother. Her first reaction was shock, but then suspicion. Her son couldn't possibly have acquired such a treasure on his own. Maybe he had stolen it? Yi Chuan hurried to explain, no way. I went outside the city, saw 2 giant snakes fighting, and when I noticed a flower on the ground, I just picked it up. His mother grabbed his face and scolded, you brat. Do you know how dangerous it is outside the city? We're just butchers. If something happened to you, how could we ever handle it? Next time, you're not allowed to go. Got it, Mom. I won't dare next time. Yi Chuan quickly nodded, but his father saw it differently. He praised Yi Chuan loudly, saying, that's my boy. Just then, a furious shout rang out from outside the house. Yi Chiyuan, get out here. The visitor was Lu Xing, father of Lu Jinglong. Once his dad's childhood friend, he was now a well-known 6th-rank Ascension realm fighter in town. He had come to reclaim the spirit weapon for his son. Yi Chiyuan frowned and shot back, asking if there had been some mistake. After all, his son was clearly a life skill worker. How could he have possibly stolen a spirit weapon? But Lu Jinglong pointed straight at Yi Chuan and shouted, Dad, it was him. He's the one who took it. Lu Xing's face darkened immediately. Old friend, how can you still be this muddle-headed? You can't even control your own son, and now he's stealing from others? Ask your boy if it's true. Seeing his father insulted like that, Yi Chuan knew he had to step up. He pointed straight at Lu Jinglong and said coldly, your son tried to kill me. I only took his blade. Honestly, that was letting him off cheap. Lu Jinglong panicked, blurting out, "I was just trying to spar with Yi Chuan." He couldn't possibly admit the truth. Lu Xing then declared, "Hand the weapon over now, and for the sake of your father, I'll let this slide." But Yi Chuan replied flatly, "Sorry, that blade's already been sold." In that instant, the whole place went dead silent. When Lu Xing learned that his son's spirit weapon had been sold, he flew into a rage. He immediately demanded 1 million as compensation, warning that otherwise he would forget their years of brotherhood. Yi Chuan's father knew well that a low-grade yellow-tier spirit weapon was only worth about 200,000, and he wanted to persuade Lu Xing to lower the price. But Lu Xing, relying on his stage 6 Ascension Realm strength, threatened that if he didn't get the money, he would take a life instead. Seeing this, Yi Chuan was about to explode, but his father stopped him and accepted the outrageous demand, saying he just needed time to gather the million. Lu Xing sneered as he left, warning that if the money wasn't ready in half a month, he would turn hostile and cut all ties. With that, he took his son Lu Jinglong and swaggered away. Not long after, in the living room, Yi Chuan's mother anxiously urged his father to find a solution. But even if they sold everything they owned, they couldn't possibly gather that much. Knowing he had brought trouble to the family, Yi Chuan stepped forward to comfort them, saying not to worry. He would find a way to solve it. Instead of blaming him, his father earnestly told him that no matter what difficulties came, he must never bear them alone. His family would always be there with him. Deeply moved, Yi Chuan also understood one thing. He had to obtain a spirit weapon quickly and raise his strength to the Ascension Realm. Only then would Lu Xing no longer be a threat. Unexpectedly, his mother suddenly asked, "Xiao Chuan, are you hiding something from us? That flower is extremely rare. How could a mere butcher like you get it?" Yi Chuan knew he couldn't keep it a secret forever, so he finally revealed the strange condition he had. The moment his parents heard the word strange, both of them froze on the spot. His mother was the first to recover, asking, "By strange, do you mean you don't like women?" Seeing Yi Chuan nod in confirmation, she immediately stroked his head gently and comforted him. "It's fine. If my son likes men, so be it. Just go chase your happiness boldly." But then she added, "One thing though, you'd better stay away from your father." Realizing things were spiraling out of control, Yi Chuan hurried to explain, "It's not that I like men or women. I've got a mental issue. Whenever I look at any creature, I see it as a pig." Hearing this, his parents froze again. A second later, his father suddenly exclaimed, "Wait, if you see every creature as a pig, doesn't that mean you can butcher all living things like pigs?" Hearing his father's words, Yi Chuan instinctively nodded. But in his father's eyes, Yi Chuan's situation was no longer that of an ordinary life profession, so he decided to teach his son real skills. That very night, his father led him deep into the mountains, saying he would pass down a butcher's blade technique he had created himself. Once mastered, even if someone tried to take Yi Chuan's life, he would have the power to fight back. After all, no amount of money, even $1 million, was worth more than his son's safety. The blade art consisted of only 3 moves, its essence rooted in ultimate simplicity. His father gripped the butcher's knife, taking a deep breath. He raised the blade above his head. Then he aimed at the night sky. With a fierce swing, he slashed downward. To Yi Chuan's shock, that seemingly simple strike split the night apart, revealing a sky full of dazzling stars. His jaw nearly hit the ground, certain he must be seeing things. His father calmly explained that this first strike was called Falling Star. Then he prepared to demonstrate the second move. With a sudden whoosh, he leapt high into the air. The butcher's knife in his hand unleashed a streak of pale blue lightning. In the very next instant, under a slash called Fallen Moon, the moon above was split clean in two. The sight before him completely shattered Yi Chuan's understanding. Was this really his father? This was insane. Seeing his shock, his father explained that it was only a distortion of space, creating a folded vision. As for the third strike, it was called Devouring Sun. With a sudden swing of the butcher's knife, a terrifying force crashed into the ground, erupting in a violent explosion. The moves were so over the top that Yi Chuan couldn't help but joke. "Dad, are you sure this is for butchering pigs? Or is it meant to take down Marshal Zhu Beiji himself?" But his father simply told him to learn without asking questions. The time would come when these techniques would prove useful. With that, he handed the butcher's knife to Yi Chuan, ordering him to start training immediately. Yet the moment Yi Chuan gripped what looked like an ordinary butcher's knife, it felt as heavy as 2 tons. Even with the strength of an 8th-rank apprentice, he was still crushed to the ground under its weight. So his father had been butchering with a blade this heavy all along. Utterly mind-blowing. Still, remembering his father's warning, Yi Chuan shakily hoisted the knife and prepared to practice the first strike, Falling Star. He had clearly underestimated his body's limits. Unsurprisingly, he collapsed to the ground again. His father, hiding behind a tree, muttered under his breath, "Fool kid, one day when you reach the sovereign realm, these 3 strikes will cut down gods and men." Yi Chuan spent the entire night repeating the moves his father had taught him. Every single strike, he threw in everything he had. By now, sweat poured down his face as he gasped for breath. When the sun finally rose, his strength gave out and he collapsed onto the grass. But then, something struck him. He lowered his gaze, staring quietly at the pig butcher's blade in his hand. The image of Lu Xing arrogantly mocking his father flashed through his mind. Gritting his teeth, Yi Chuan suddenly raised the blade high and roared, "Meteor fall." In the next instant, a surge of overwhelming power burst forth from the knife. The roar shook the mountains, sending flocks of birds scattering into the sky. Yi Chuan froze, stunned at the scene before him. Slowly, a smile crept across his lips. For this time, he had truly succeeded. But at the same moment, his body gave out completely, and he collapsed onto the ground. At the same time, the system chimed. Rank upgraded to Apprentice, Tier 9. Strength 55, Agility 55, Spirit 55. Profession Skill Blood Shadow Butcher, LV2. New technique learned. Meteor Fall. Cut to a hospital room. Yi Chuan lay motionless on the bed, unconscious. His mother leaned over in panic and asked the doctor, "Is my son okay?" The doctor reassured her, "He's fine, just passed out from exhaustion. He must have been training extremely hard all night." Hearing that, Yi Chuan's mother bristled with anger at his father, thinking, how could a parent let his child train himself into this? "I'll deal with him when we get home." The doctor continued, "Based on the lactic acid levels in his body, it appears he did roughly 1,000 sit-ups, 1,000 push-ups, and 1,000 squats in one night, and even ran the equivalent of 100 kilometers. She froze. "Doctor, are you joking? Can a human really do all that in a single night?" she blurted. The doctor kept a steady tone. "A normal person can't, no. But given your son's mental state, it's a plausible explanation." In an instant, Yi Chuan's mother exploded, cursing, "That bastard. I'm going back to beat his father until even his own mother wouldn't recognize him. My child has suffered enough." With that, she slammed the door and stormed out. The doctor inwardly marveled. He hadn't expected such stamina. That level of exertion would have killed a normal person. Looks like a one-on-one recovery session would be necessary tonight. But when the doctor stepped into the ward to give instructions, Yi Chuan was nowhere to be found. Yi Chuan was walking down the street, thinking to himself, "That move drains too much. Don't use it unless absolutely necessary." Oh, right. He needed to pick up the blade from Master Tai Xian today. A short while later, Yi Chuan arrived at Tai Xian Forge. He pushed the door open and saw Master Tai Xian bent over the anvil, forging a blade. The master looked up and asked, "Are you Yi Chuan?" "Zhao Bo already told me. I finished forging your blade last night. Worked through the night for you." The master chuckled. "I heard you're just a pig butcher. Never thought the Xia family would rush a blade for a butcher unless you saved their daughter, didn't you?" Just as Yi Chuan reached out to take the blade, Master Tai Xian snapped the case shut, stopping him. "Hold on, kid. This blade was forged from Millennium Cold Iron, hammered for 49 days and nights. Its quality ranks as yellow tier, high grade. A blade recognizes its master. Without enough cultivation, you might not even be able to lift it, let alone wield it. But the moment Yi Chuan gripped the hilt, his eyes widened in shock. In the blink of an eye, he raised the blade with ease. What stunned him most was that the weapon felt even lighter than the one his father used. Master Tai Xan, on the other hand, was utterly shaken by how effortlessly Yi Chuan lifted it. Gazing at the pig butcher's blade in his hands, Yi Chuan asked, "What's this blade called?" Master Tai Xan shook his head. "It doesn't have a name yet. It belongs to you. So naturally, you're the one who must name it." Hearing that, Yi Chuan smirked. The Xiao family really is filthy rich. "Fine, I've decided. This blade will be called the Dragon Slayer." Master Tai Xan instantly spat out the water he had just drunk, muttering awkwardly, "That name's way too tacky." Moments later, Yi Chuan was standing before the city gates, thinking, "Now that I've got the blade, it's time to hunt some beasts and make some money." More importantly, if he could raise himself to stage 1, Ascendant Hall realm, then he'd finally have a shot at taking on Lu Sheng. On the road, he overheard someone cursing. "Damn it, what's going on?" Lately, this place has been crawling with alien tribes and vicious beasts. They attack people on sight like they've gone mad. Way too strange. Another voice chimed in. "Exactly. I just passed by an armored earth ox. Usually it doesn't bother anyone, but today it chased me for 10 miles straight. Scare me half to death." Hearing their complaints, Yi Chuan's eyes lit up with excitement. Perfect. More prey to slaughter.